God has given us a mission. Are you ready to answer the call?
Hi everyone, I'm Ronnie Floyd, and it is a joy to share an exciting initiative with you in 2026. I think one thing we can agree upon is that the greatest need in our nation today is to experience the next great spiritual awakening. This is exactly what the Million Souls campaign is about. Since every great move of God is preceded by extraordinary prayer, I support this exciting initiative by Project Pray and Prayer at the Heart. I encourage you to do the same. Could you imagine what it would be like from Easter 2026 through Pentecost Sunday, May the 24th of 2026, if 1 million people were to begin to follow Jesus for the first time in their lives? We need to pray as if God can do this, because only God can. May I remind you today that Jesus Christ is the same God who changed the lives of at least 1 million Americans through the great prayer revival of 1857 and 58. And just think, our population as a nation then was only 30 million people. Well, today we have just under 350 million people living in our nation. And surely we can pray, surely we can envision, and surely we can work to see 1 million people begin to follow Jesus this year.
Here is Dr. Doug Small to explain the vision.
I get a call from a guy by the name of Nam Soo Choi, actually Aaron Park, who is his representative. And they say, we are from the Kwangwon Presbyterian Church north of Seoul, Korea, and we send prayer teams to the nations. And we want to send a prayer team to the U.S. Would you help us with this? Can Dr. Nam Soo Choi fly over from Seoul, Korea and meet with you? With me? Why? They said, we want to send prayer teams to the U.S. They were intimidated. South Korea is sending prayer teams to Christian America. How audacious. But here's their bottom line. We see you stumbling. We see the stuff. We get American news. We watch what's going on here. And if you go, nobody stops North Korea. Nobody stops China. Nobody stops Russia. The only nation that's an intersection for the world is America. Would you help us with prayer teams? We made arrangements for them to send the first teams, and I called again Tom Phillips right here at Billy Graham. I said, I need help. I need to come over there and you stand with me and make an announcement to the nation that something big is happening, something extraordinary is happening. I don't even understand it myself. The World School of Prayer wants to send prayer teams to America. He said, when? I gave him the date. He said, why those dates? I said, out of a whole year, it's the only dates that work. It's strange. He said, do you know the significance of those dates? I said, no, sir. He said, those are the dates of Billy Graham's largest ever crusade. Where? In Seoul, Korea. 49 years to the days. The bread on the water coming back. 100,000 saved in that crusade. It changed that nation. And now the sons and daughters, our grandchildren, are coming here to pray. They prayed in 30 states. They met with half a dozen governors. They wanted to be taken to the church once they got off the plane. They've flown all night. Just take us to the church and let us spend all night praying around the altar for revival in America. Most of them didn't speak English. They didn't come to preach. They didn't come to teach. They came to pray. If we can put our feet on American soil and weep and leave our tears there, then we believe God will change this nation like He changed our nation. 85 teams came. That what God started in Seoul, Korea, somehow corresponds to what He wants to do in America. I'm in Seoul, Korea. I'm meeting with Billy Kim, who translated for Billy Graham. This is Billy Kim Hall. I'm at Far East Broadcasting. I spend the morning with him. The next day, I'm supposed to meet with Nam Sue. We're supposed to talk about the next wave of teams that are coming to America. And I have a restless night. And the third time, I'm trying to go to sleep for a few minutes, an hour, wake up. I just get out of bed. I stand in the darkness. I'll never forget it. And I say, God, I know this is not insomnia. I know that you're trying to say something to me. What is it? Bam. I want you to mobilize 1 million people to pray for 50 days from Passover to Pentecost to see 1 million people saved. I didn't share this with anybody for 4 months. I just kept this in my heart. How in the world do you do that? How do you mobilize 1 million people? There are pieces of this that I don't understand. There are connections with Billy Graham that I don't understand. There are connections with what God is doing in South Korea right now that I don't understand. I've stepped into a mystery here. And 1 million is not our goal. Our goal is a spiritual awakening in the nation that would wake up the entire globe. If a great awakening kind of revival came here, it would set off a cosmic spiritual explosion, the likes of which we have not seen since Acts 2. That's why it's so hard. That's why the devil's pumping anesthesia into the room, standing on our hair hose. That's why when you talk to the church, it's like, whoa, what are you talking about? Only God can do this. He wants to do this. He's racing ahead of us. This could be the most exciting time to be on the earth. I mean, truth is, you get to heaven and some angel says, that's Elijah right over there. Are you kidding? Can I get his autograph? That's Elisha sitting right next to him. That's Jeremiah, just walked up to him there. That's Moses, right down there in the next corner. Are you kidding me? Could I meet him? Truth is, they might want to meet you. Why? The question they might be asking you is, were you on the earth in the last days when God poured out His Spirit on all flesh and the glory of God covered the earth like the waters covered the sea? Were you there to see the final harvest come in? Were you there where the glory shone across the face of the earth before the darkness rose? God's final declaration, His march through the earth. Were you there when that happened? They might want to see you. What a day to be alive.
Are you ready to answer God's call? Visit us online at prayerattheheart.org. We'd like to thank the staff and management at Billy Graham Library for allowing us to meet in the Billy Kim Hall and providing us with a recording of this presentation. All footage of Billy Graham crusades was approved by the Billy Graham Archive Center. All footage of the Korean prayer clips was approved by Project Pray, the World Prayer School, and the Kwangmyong Presbyterian Church of Seoul, Korea. This production was edited by Radio Chris 25 Ministries.